Isn't that song the best way to start off a new week? Welcome, Sonder family. It's so good to see you this morning on this chilly Monday morning. I know lots of folks got cold blasts, and it's like, oh, okay, there's that fall weather. Yeah, it's crisp, isn't it, Cassie? Nice and that crisp autumn weather. And I don't know about y'all in Texas, in the Dallas, Texas area, we're gonna be right back up to like 79 on Thursday. So we've got all of our plants covered and we put stuff in and we have a little greenhouse and then we'll be taking it all back out. So it's that weird time of year where the weather's hot and cold and warm and we get all four seasons in within a couple of days. But it's really good to see you. Oh, happy birthday, Lori. Anybody else having a birthday? That's so good. Oh, Trixie, those Bomba socks are, I have like one pair and they are so good. You are so right. That's a good thing to be loving. I thought we could start off our time together just maybe sharing something that you are loving with your Sonder family. Sometimes there's new products or new books. I am reading a book called The Measure, and it's science fiction, but it's more like fiction, but it's so good, y'all. Talk about when you consider your life, but it's called The Measure. So yeah, it's a good book, isn't it, Chris? I wanna propose it to my book club because I wanna see how people, would you look at your string? Anyway, yeah. So I might have even gotten the name of the book from somebody during one of these socials. So I always love this part about what I am loving. Anyway, Jessica, it is okay. We're glad that you are here, as long as you can be. There are no pressure. We're just glad you joined us. So, yeah, and yeah, let's get going with our setup this morning. So, my name is Jennifer Ogilvy. I'm coming to you from the Dallas, Texas area, where it is nice and chilly this morning. And you have Team Jennifer on this Monday morning call. Jennifer Krippner is going to be hanging out in the chat. She's popping on, giving y'all a wave, and she'll, guide you if you have any questions along the way. She'll point you in that direction, and then watch in the chat because she'll be posting links that might be beneficial to you. That kind of stuff. So if she can't answer your questions or I can't answer your questions, we'll point you to headquarters at hello at silkandsonder.com. That's number 6 on our community guidelines that you see right there. Um, and speaking of the community guidelines, yeah, we put these up every week to remind each other about the safe places that we create for one another when we're gathered together. This is one of my favorite communities, and definitely my favorite virtual community. So it's so good to see you. I want to shout out to our exclusive that is coming up this week. I'm very excited about it because I get to facilitate our FAMS giving, and that's going to be on Friday evening. And I hope that you guys can join. There is a nominal fee, but I've been working on some slides, and we're going to really embrace some Thanksgiving imagery all around our tables and do some look backs through our lives, as well as find ways to practice extra gratitude during this time. So Jennifer just put the link there. Of course, with exclusives, there is that nominal fee, but I hope you can be part of that community. I think it's going to be a very special time with your journal, and some good introspective looks at our lives. And then, of course, kindness is our theme this month. And we were talking, I worked with Katie Saturday, and she was like, some of us were talking about how it feels a little anticlimactic to have kindness after like deep digs with bravery and resilience. But I love the idea of thinking intentionally about kindness and maybe slowing down enough to notice those moments in our life that show us kindness, that we don't take it for granted, and that also maybe we can look a little bit introspectively about being kind to ourselves. So I think it's a pretty neat theme to kind of hit with this month of gratitude. I want to point out that World Kindness Day is this week, November 13th. If you are coming to the social that is on Wednesday, let's see, I think it's Wednesday. I'll get my calendar out here. Yes, we're going to be doing an activity about World Kindness Day. I get to be the facilitator for that one on this Wednesday, 2 days from now. And so we're going to be digging into a little bit of World Kindness Day as our opening activity on November 12th. So hopefully you can be there for that. This morning, we're going to look at our kindness mind map, our rosebud thorn reflection, and then we'll set up our weekly pages. And I hope you can hang around toward the end if possible, because this week I'm going to do something a little bit different with that second part of our setup. And I've added some repurposed expense tracker pages to maybe inspire your journal setup. So hopefully you can hang around. So there's that little tease for the end of our time together. So let's go ahead and dig into our mind map. Is there anybody here for the first time? Please drop a me in the chat. I know that our Monday bunch we tend to kind of be the Monday crew. I'm seeing all our same familiar folks. But if you are here for the first time, we do a deep, oh, Mary Lisa, thank you for joining and saying me. We do this deeper dig into our mind map. And what the mind map is, it's like a bonus prompt for showing up here, for being with your community, and it's a deeper dig into our theme of the month. And we do one of these questions every single week. So that it's gonna, every month we'll have like 4 to 5 questions depending on the setups. Um, but this gives us that deeper introspective look into the theme that we're digging into. So, yes, and we're just glad you're here, and we hope that you set this appointment with yourself. This mind map is, again, because it's bonus, it can be done anywhere in your journal. I did mine on page 58 only because I messed up the next page, so I had to rip that one out. But it can be done anywhere in your journal. Some of you like to go week to week with your weekly scratch pads, or you just use a very, one of the notes pages that are scattered in there, or you might even have an extra journal that you do these in. So I set mine up like this because I use the imagery from the actual mind map. So last week, I'm going to put this up. So if anybody didn't catch last week and they want to take a screenshot or a photo, you can grab that week one. We looked at the specific acts of kindness, either given by us or received from others from our past, that it was very nostalgic. What brought that warm, grateful smile to your face. And so then we encourage you to look at very specific times, places, or the people that did that. I love looking back on that. But then this week is so another kind of lean into nostalgia. What sensory details, sounds, smells, tastes, textures, visuals trigger a memory of an act of kindness or care? And for me, science shows one of greatest, the sense of smell is our greatest look back into our past. Like it triggers those memories when we smell certain things. That's the strongest sense. So I kind of leaned into that for my answer. But you're asked to consider all of those things: the sights, the smells, the textures, the visuals. It could be the smell of rain on the concrete and it just takes you back to college, or your grandmother's cooking, or an old perfume, or the hum of a city street. So there's mine, and I'll just share. I shared several things on there, but the one thing that I think one of the kindest people in my life is my daughter. And the smell, do y'all remember Curious? by Britney Spears. It's still out there, but that was her fragrance in middle school and high school and through college. And so her birthday's in May. So every May and then December for Christmas, I gave her a bottle of Curious. And so that's just her bedroom smelled like that. And man, when she left the house, oh, it makes me so homesick for that girl. So last year I actually gave her another bottle of Curious at Christmas. I hadn't done it in a long time, and we both just laughed and cried. And I told her, "You it makes me think of you." But that sense for me, a taste for me was my mother-in-law. She made me this puff pastry that had like an almond thing. And oh my gosh, I am, 19 years old sitting in her house enjoying that again when I think of that. So yes, oh Gloria, the smell of puppies that they have that fun little there's something about their little tummies that smells so good. So think about those senses that evoke that nostalgic feeling of kindness in your heart. And I am hoping that you will share those in the chat because when one person writes something, as I wrote this, they kept flowing. Things kept just coming up and coming up and coming up. So you'll find that too. I think I need a second page for my mind map. So we'll work on this. Share as you're comfortable and enjoy this look back through your senses. I love starting my Mondays with y'all. Wow, some beautiful memories were evoked from thinking about those senses that you have. And as y'all were writing, other things were popping into my head. So perhaps this week I can challenge you to really embrace your senses. And when a memory pops in from touching something, seeing something, hearing something, take a moment and just write that down. Just honor that memory by putting it on paper somewhere and taking that moment to just be grateful for that. So thank you. I love it. Yeah, and I was laughing. My dad was a Whataburger man. He that's a big, hamburger place here in Texas, and he had gotten a general managership and had like 4 stores under him, and when he came home, he smelled like pickles and mustard, and to this day, the moment I open a Whataburger wrapper, it's my dad. I just smell my dad, so it's so fun. And yeah, there's those old scents, Aquanet. Oh my gosh, y'all remember any 80s ladies here? 70s and 80s where, we could tap our hair because it was so full of Aquanet. I just love it. I just love it. So thank you for sharing. This was a really good look back. I love how kindness is being woven backward into our lives as we're doing those reflections. So now let's take a look at our rosebud thorn reflection from this week, what the week brought you. You're going to find this on page 36. And it's just this look back of celebrating, being happy about the good things that came our way last week, uh, excuse me, the things that went well, the extra gratefulness that we felt about something. We're going to look at our buds, like what's coming your way. As you can see, mine is prepping the content for Famsgiving. I'm just really jazzed about that this week. So that's my bud, my thing coming this way. And then the thorn might be the thing that's not going so great in your life. For me, it's just we have decluttering differences of opinion in this household about what we should maybe be getting rid of, and so it's caused a little contention. I'm trying, to get organized, and so I'm going to throw away half the garage. But anyway, so that's not fun. But my rose was I had my big grandkids, my 2 grandkids. The school was closed last Monday and Tuesday, and so they got to like come Monday and spend the night on a Monday night during the school year, and we played, and it's just fun to have. I have 3, but when I had just the 2, it's a different dynamic. Y'all know what I'm talking about. So it was just nice to spend it there. And again, I'm going to start probably leaving this little graphic here on this reflection about our thorns and considering our thorns as it's happening for us, not to us. And so always frame out that thorn with maybe what you are learning from that tough time. Let me put on some music. Feel free to share if you need a little extra support with a thorn or you want us to celebrate something with you, be sure to put that in the chat. right. Great reflection over your past week. It just helps you get a little perspective when you put some power to your paper and do that weekly reflection. So we're glad that you spent a little time doing that look back. And I know Marissa just jumped on. Some other people might have just jumped on. Monday mornings, we do what we can. So if you need that mind map, there's the question for week 2. Grab a quick screenshot or a little photograph of that. All righty. So good working, looking back. I laughed about the cold weather because I woke up this morning. My first thought, we're talking about, the thorn, the temperature's right. It's crazy that it's such a big swing. And like I've got my tomatoes, they're not done. And I thought, well, I guess it's time for me to stop complaining about the heat and start complaining about the cold. So I'm never happy, are we? So let's now jump into our weekly planner, which this week you'll find, excuse me, on pages 40 and 41. I put those there and then I'm like, is that the right page? Um, and we're going to start by our show and tell, where I always like to take a couple of pages and let y'all just look at how folks have set their pages up. Now, if you have shared in Sonder Club at any time, you've posted any part of your weekly setup, I just want to say thank you, because that allows us to grab some of those shots and share with our Sonder family. So here's just a couple of wonderful pages set up. I love the weekly to-dos on the one over there on the right. It was like, Halloween week, and it was just filled with fun stickers. Oh, is that yours? Thank you. So I love that, Nicole. Thank you. You've been really embracing all of that with your journals since you've been home a lot, but it was just fun to see all that, setting the mood with those stickers. The one over there on the left, you can see their to-dos is a little fun bingo. We love a bingo, some of us more than others. But they have their 3 goals, and then their to-dos are set up in a bingo form, and then drop down for the one on the left. Pardon me, the habit and activity tracker there. We do not set goals here on that one. Um, they are just going to track. And then Nicole embraced the idea of dose, those um, good chemicals for your body, the serotonin and the oxytocin. And I've got another example of this broken down into, so you can see it. So don't worry if you don't grab that here, but we've got this coming up. And then I love how they want to feel and what they put that there. Okay, Cassie, I've got a good screenshot for you coming up, a good deck, so you can see a visual on the details of looking at the dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins, how we get those hits through the week, being very mindful with that. So give me just a minute, we'll get there. So first we want to start off with, how do we want to feel this week? Kind of manifest that feeling for the week. I've got a little word cloud here. Maybe something's jumping out at you. Love the idea of enchanted or magical, or maybe you just want to look at kindness. You want to feel kind, be a kind person this week. Lots of different ways to set this up. You can use stickers, lots of words, one word, a phrase, a quote. I loved this little graphic with all the fall cozy things. Grounded is a good one. I think I might actually end up leaning to grounded, maybe throwing in a serene in there and really embracing serenity. But you can see there's no right or wrong way to do this space. So take what you need for that. So Gloria is wanting to radiate kindness, and Kaya saying lovingly connected. So not just connected, but really with this intention of loving, supportive, and enticing for Radhika. Let's see what else. Prepared and productive, Alice. That's always a good one to go to. The 2 P's. Sandra needs to feel focused. Of course, Regina, gratitude right now. This grateful that comes with just sort of the vibe of November. So that's a good one. Energized, calm, organized, generous, calm, organized, brilliant. Oh, I love that. Lots of great. Oh my goodness, your words are just amazing this week. Balanced, inspired, capably cozy. Ooh, I like anything cozy. Very good. Yeah, the alliteration just again makes it a little more fun when we do that. So now we're going to take those feelings into setting up our goals for the week, and that will inform maybe our to-dos, or your to-dos could be totally separate. So again, you've seen this graphic, you'll see it all month. It's that idea of what do we say no to in the month of November. It's the month to put in some boundaries, maybe take some things off of our plates rather than bringing it on there. Nicole, that and keeping it light is a good way to say no, right? So we want to maybe think about that. Are there some things you need to say no to because they're not serving you or they're making you tired? I saw something this week that said somebody decided they were going to say yes to everything. Like maybe it was on Mel Robbins' Instagram, and they said yes to everything. And then the first 6 months of the year they were miserable, and then they started saying no. And the second half of the year ended up being so much better for them. So always go take a quick peek at those intentions in your monthly habit tracker, or maybe that stop, start, and continue space on your monthly reflection page up at the front of your journal to inform your week. You might be undergoing a personal challenge that you're working on, or I always love this, the three categories where we just plug in goals to fit under three preset ideas of work, community, home, or a way to be, a way to feel, a way to do, or myself, others, home, mind, body, soul. So you guys get that. You just sort of set those three things in place and then have a goal that fits under each one of those. And then, of course, shouting out to the no goals for the week. So here's how some folks have set those three goals. You see, they're pretty to the point and self-explanatory. Now we've got one example over there on the bottom left that has four goals, and they've kind of done this grid. So that's that reminder to take what you need. If your week is crazy, maybe you have one goal, and your one goal is about taking care of yourself to get through all the other things you need to do. So it's about taking what you need. You can see we've got some bingo examples, some lists there. If you'll notice the one on the bottom right, those goals are directly informing the things that go on the to-do list. So that's always a nice way to set that up. And then just a shout out to the kitty cat sticker on the one on the left. I just thought that little kitty cat's awfully sweet. And then, here's that sort of reminder every week. So, sort of their chore list, their have to do things, and then the things that are special to this week. So, dividing that space up into the two ways that serves them. Another idea of, there's a bingo board example. And then I found this graphic. I thought it was really good, especially if we're trying to think about the no things, the November things we're releasing, alternatives to thinking I did nothing. Maybe this is what needs to go on your to-do list. Do you need some time to recharge? Do you give yourself some well-deserved breaks? Are you practicing your self-care? Are you allowing yourself to slow down? So let's reframe that. If we're looking and we feel like, I didn't get stuff done. Well, why is that? Was it because you were prioritizing something more important, like yourself? We have these two matrices. You have seen the one on the right over and over again. That's the Eisenhower matrix, about taking your to-do list and plugging things into the boxes to make yourself, a little more efficient. This really helps you prioritize the task urgency, right? But Stephen Covey, who did the whole highly effective people habits, sort of changed it up a little bit. And his matrix actually focuses on just, importance and the time. So he says, let's look at, what the quadrant one, crisis mode, immediate action. And then quadrant two is the long-term planning and prevention. So that's important but not urgent. The one at the bottom, that third quadrant is delegate or minimize. Like what can we make a little simple? It falls under it's important, it's urgent, but it's not quite as important. And then the lower priority tasks go into not important and not urgent into that fourth quadrant. So a little different take on that Eisenhower matrix if you wanted to grab a screenshot. Now, while you're working on these spaces, I will go back through these slots or these slides so that you can do it. I want to spend a moment talking about time boxing. That is when what are your tasks? What are the things you need to do? And then you set actual timers. So, you might want to declutter your closet, but what does that look like? Well, you're going to set a timer for 10 minutes, just 10 minutes, but then you are going to just power forward fast for 10 minutes. Get that, and you only focus on that task for 10 minutes. And then you can repeat as necessary. But, sometimes it's, like my closet needs hours. But if I start, giving it 20 minutes a day or even 20 minutes a week, in a month, I've spent an hour doing it because I broke that down. Another way to use timers and that time schedule is the Pomodoro effect. Or I'm sorry, technique. And Pomodoro is tomato in Italian. It comes from those little round tomato timers. And you set yourself up for 25-minute work sessions and then a 5-minute break. And you repeat as needed. You usually do 4 of those 25-minute sessions, and then you take a longer break, and then you do 4 more and a longer break. So Jennifer has dropped a link to more information on that in the chat if you'd like to do that. But I always work really well under a timer. There's something about my brain that appreciates that. Now, in these goals and to-dos and rhythms and routines, you can change things up. Maybe you don't do a goal. Maybe you have these overriding goals that are kind of part of your intentions. And so you're going to use these spaces in other ways. I love that somebody's just using their 3 major goals as celebrate my birthday. So that's the focus for the week. And then you can put lots of favorites here, kind of what you want to do, this week, songs, podcasts, mini bingo boards, all that good stuff, maybe some new things to try. And yeah, we'll go back to our habit and activities in a minute. So let me put on a little bit of music while you work on your goals and your to-dos and share in the chat what you're doing, or if you need some help with, I need a word for XYZ, let us know and we will give you the support that you might need. friends. Thank you for working on your goals and your to-dos for the week. And I think it's very important. I want to call out, Amy had shared that this is a hard time of year. And the holidays can be very poignant for us as we remember, folks that were important to us. I'm going to give you another shout out to coming to the exclusive because we're going to honor that time at our exclusive this week. But be gentle and take what you need. Recognize that and don't worry. Maybe right now is not the time to set goals, and you're going to work on your to dos and you're going to focus on self care. That's what you need at this season in your life. So thanks for sharing that, Amy. I think it speaks to all of us and reminds us about being gentle to ourselves and understanding what we're able to bring to the table and what we need to take. So now let's drop down to our habits and activities. And y'all, I loved this graphic because we have this. I do anyway. I get this idea of consistency, like those glasses, right? That's what I think consistency is. But the real consistency is that it kind of ebbs and flows, right? And we have better days and we have days that we wake up and we think we're going to do a bunch and then we don't know where the day went. We got nothing done, right? And so I love this graphic, that reminder of, sometimes the glass is a little more full, sometimes a little more empty. It's still consistency. We're still doing our best. Even I say, even just looking at your page and saying, this is what I wanted. So I have lots of habits and activities to inspire you. Maybe we've got some November things here, and there's that make a to not do list to check off what you didn't do. So I thought these could be fun to plug in to your habits and activities for the week, like not sleeping enough or not drinking enough water, and putting some power to them, and then tracking right as we go through the week. Okay, so there, Cassie, there's that dose idea with the a little more explanation of looking at these different chemicals that are in our body. And there's good dopamine, but there's a lot of dopamine hits that we get that are not really good for us. Like when we pick up this phone and we start scrolling through, and dadgummit, an hour's passed, and you got all these hits on your social media, and you're watching all these what people live their lives, and we get dopamine from looking at that, but it's not really the good dopamine. So we want to get that reward chemical in different ways. So I put this graphic here, and then there's that dose over there in the habits and activities again. So instead of checking off like on Monday, listen to a new song or finish a book, for the dopamine, instead of checking it, that Monday's going to get a D, and the goal will be to spell the word dose every single day through the week, so that you're getting those good happy hormones bathing your brain with the good stuff. Also, in the habit and activity tracker, feel free to just do a few things here. You don't need to fill in all the lines. We've got a great example here at the bottom of, the goal is to clean boxes totally 2 times, pack bag before bed 2 times, update daily tracker every day this week, but it's 3 things. So yeah, it's a great idea, isn't it, Gloria? I think Sonder family is so smart because that's a wonderful way of making sure that we're putting good stuff into our life. So there's that. And then some more examples of our habit trackers. You can set goals. You don't have to set goals. You can circle days that you need certain things to happen. Again, no right or wrong way to track. It's really about what you need to do. Maybe you set goals for 2 of the things and the other ones you just track. So it's always about taking what you need. Some more habit inspiration for this space. I always say bring them over from last week. The difference on this weekly one is that you can also do like your activity. So maybe you have a class that's 2 days a week and you're going to, circle those 2 days. or carpool or that kind of stuff, or you're going to run errands on Wednesday and Friday, so you circle those days. So we've got some other inspiration for this space to inform your habits and activities. Let me put on a little bit of music. I'll go back through these examples and then we'll get on with our second page. Alrighty. I love that y'all are really considering those good brain chemicals. And, you can go do some deep dives into, how to get healthy serotonin hits through the day or those kind of things. How do I get good endorphins and get a lot of self-care ideas just by doing some Google searches as you're trying to figure out the ways to take care of yourself this week. So let's jump over now to our second page. We're going to look at all the sections together. I've got examples of whole pages for you this week, and we'll work on that. And then I want to make sure that we have time to share the repurposed monthly expense trackers so that maybe you can be inspired on what to do with that page. So you might want to grab a screenshot of this or you can Google National Day Calendar, but these are some of the fun days this week. And sometimes that's a really good way to frame out something on this second page, to just bring a little joy to your day. Or maybe you'll take some things from this and put it into your calendar. So, it's vanilla cupcake day. So I think all of us need to go get a little treat. That's that reminder. Tomorrow's Sunday day. But it's just kind of a nice way to frame out your days. Now remember that this session is being recorded. You'll be able to access it in probably a little while today. So if there's something that you missed, that you could, to do. I know button day. I don't know. I don't know how maybe you sew or you collect or you wear I don't know really. It's just kind of fun to put those days on there and go explore. How do you, celebrate button day? So I've got several pages. I just want to show you how folks fill this out. You might still use a meal plan, but you may find that you only do your main meal of the day, the one that you're going to cook or whatever. Maybe that goes into your mind body health plan. Or maybe the things that would feel like they're mind body health, you're going to use the meal plan section because it's got those big spaces. So I just thought let's gather lots of different examples for y'all to gaze upon and maybe think about how you can incorporate this in your journal. I want to point out the water droplets for the example on the left. How kind was I to myself today? And then scaling it on a scale of 1 to 8. If you're trying to prioritize your self care, that's a great check in for yourself. Just kind of, was I really good to myself or was I hard on myself? Did I let those voices in my head run those tapes that are not so good for me? Yeah, isn't that fun? So you can see, and then look at the Mind Body Health Plan on the left. You fill in the blank. You just sort of, this is a reflection. You don't, I think this person is not actually writing in every day. It's just this, they're asking themselves this question, maybe talking to themselves out loud. Today was blank, so tomorrow I need blank, and I will be kind to myself by blank because I am worthy of a blank life. So just that moment of reflection. They're not writing, they're just doing this on the daily, asking themselves that question. Some bingos here. We've got the evening routine. Look at that. If I'm restless, what do I need to do? If I'm exhausted, what do I need to do? If I need to feel joyful, what do I need to do? If I'm stressed, what do I need to do? So I love that, a little menu of things. Self-care bingo, and then we've got this idea of reframing if I'm having a negative thought, and then what can I challenge myself? How can I change that? Here's someone tracking the kindnesses that they are noticing throughout the day. They've given themselves a kindness bingo to perform acts of kindness to self or others. The one over on the right, the meal plan is gonna be the meal plan, and then, kind of a little schedule, sort of the self-care stuff is going into the Mind Body Health, and you can see they're doing the Sonder Social, they've got a nail appointment, and then the one on the right also has this self-care list, so all the things they wanna do for themselves this week. I know, they're great ideas, aren't they, Cassie? I love that Sonder family shares. So a lot of folks like to put their affirmations in the meal plan. We've got a hygge bingo there, that idea of coziness for the year. I've got a hygge slide to show you if you wanted to do that. Um, their daily scriptures are there. Look at the little end of day doodle and some little faces and how they're feeling. Flow and go. A week at a glance for the one on the right, just sort of those high points of every day. The Mind Body Health Plan, I think this is a response each day of what they did for themselves. I love that. And then did a little self-care bingo. And then I have some graphics that might inspire this page. So ways to fill your cup. There's the idea of hygge, of all things cozy this time of year. So maybe something like that goes in these spaces. Someone is doing a photo a day challenge. So maybe you just put a weekly challenge of a photo a day, that moment of stopping and paying attention and noticing. Fall scavenger hunt, another sweet way to just give yourself some space in the day to be reflective. A week of gratitude or a self-esteem journal. If any of these speak to you, feel free to grab a screenshot or a photo, or you can go look again and stop the video replay on what's speaking to you. I'll go back through these while you're working on this page. Our daily and weekly intentions. And of course, 7 types of rest. We love to lean into that. And then I've got some self-care ideas that you might want to incorporate there. So let's work on this really quickly, and then we'll come back and look at some of those really great repurposing of the expense tracker. Let us know what's going on this page for you. continuing to work on this page, I'm going to go back through those slides and then notice at the end, I'm going to add in those repurposed monthly expense trackers, and then we'll close out our time. So continue working. I love the idea of a weekly or of your entertainment tracker, the books, the podcasts, the music, everything that you are taking in. That's such a good idea. So you can see there's lots of great examples here. We've got the monthly kindness tracker where it's just a list. You can list out all the things you want to do, and then as things were popping up for this person, you just put in the date. Like I did it on this day, a daily word or quote. Love that. A to-do tracker, Bible reading tracker with scripture. Your affirmations could go here, as well as look at this, the monthly step tracker, and then keeping the running total at the end of the month to see how many steps you took. I love that. Celebrating that. A journal article log. So if you're a big reader, this is a great place to track that. Kind of like that entertainment tracker. Maybe your monthly reading tracker could go here, a decluttering tracker. And look, it started at the bottom and they're doing like a countdown to the last day. So that's kind of a fun way to do that. And it looks like they're tallying the things, those items, the number of items given away. How satisfying is this? What about a symptom tracker? Here, someone is tracking all the things for their migraines. And then, yeah, we're kind of at the end. So this was recorded. Jennifer's dropped the link to the recording in the chat. So you'll be able to go access this if you want to go freeze some of those slides and look at those weekly expenses. But I know we don't talk about those trackers often. Make sure you share your weekly planner in Sonder Club. Of course, we want to shout out to our personal coach, Jenny. And I just want to applaud y'all for showing up and being kind to each other this week and supporting your Sonder community. Thanks for being with Team Jennifer. And hopefully we'll see you for the other socials this week. Make it a good one, Sonder family.
I'd like to build the world a home and furnish it with love. Grow apple trees and honeybees.